In the spring of 1937, in a grocery store in Oklahoma City, a man watched his customers and noticed something small. Something almost no one else would have thought worth noticing. The shoppers would come in, take a handbasket, and begin to fill it. And then, at a certain point, they would stop. Not because they had everything they needed, but because the basket had grown heavy. A full basket pulling on the arm, a handle biting into the fingers, and so they would turn, carry it to the counter, and leave. The man watching them was named Sylvan Goldman. He owned the store and a whole chain of stores like it. And in that small moment, a shopper pausing because her arm was tired, he saw the thing that was quietly costing him a fortune. When the basket was full, the wallet closed. Whatever a person could carry was the limit of what they would buy. The basket was not just holding groceries, it was holding back the sale. Goldman had not set out to change the world. He had set out to solve a nuisance in his own aisles. He was the son of immigrants born in the Oklahoma Territory before it was even a state. He had served in the First World War, come home and learned the grocery trade the hard way, building chains, losing them, building again. By 1934, he had bought a faltering Oklahoma City chain called Humpty Dumpty and set about reviving it. He understood retail in his bones, and the heavy basket was a problem he could not stop turning over in his mind. The story goes that the answer came to him one evening in his office, when there was no one left to impress and nothing left to do but think. He was looking at an ordinary wooden folding chair. And he saw in the folding chair something that was not a chair at all. If you put wheels on the bottoms of the legs and a basket on the seat where a person would sit, then you would have a basket that no longer had to be carried. It could be pushed. And if it could be pushed, then weight no longer mattered. A shopper could keep filling it, aisle after aisle, and never feel the cost in her arm. He went further. Why stop at one basket? Put a second basket on a lower rack, beneath the first. Now a single shopper could carry twice as much and feel none of it. Goldman took the idea to a mechanic who worked for him, a man named Fred Young. Together, they built it. A metal frame folded like the chair that inspired it, 4 wheels and 2 wire baskets, one above the other. It was a strange-looking thing, part chair, part cart, part nothing anyone had seen before. Goldman was certain he had solved it. He believed shoppers would take to it at once. On June the 4th, 1937, he placed the first of his carts in his store and waited for the gratitude. He arrived the next morning, expecting to see them in use, to see shoppers gliding through his aisles, baskets brimming. Instead, the carts sat where he had left them, empty, untouched. The shoppers walked past them, picked up the old hand baskets, and shopped exactly as they always had. Goldman was baffled. He had removed the one thing standing between his customers and buying more, and they had refused it. So he began to ask them why, and the answers had nothing to do with groceries. The men told him they were strong enough to carry their own baskets. To push a little cart felt unmanly. A grown man did not need wheels to do what his arms could do. The women told him something else. The cart, with its frame and its wheels, reminded them of something. It looked like a baby carriage. And they had spent years pushing prams. "I've pushed my last baby buggy," one woman told him. This was the small obstacle Goldman had not foreseen. Not the engineering, not the cost. Pride, embarrassment, the simple fear of looking foolish in front of others. The cart worked perfectly. The problem was that no one wanted to be the first to be seen using it. A lesser man might have given up here, and the cart might have died in the corner of one Oklahoma store. But Goldman understood something about people that the inventor in him had briefly forgotten. People do not do what is useful, they do what they see others doing. If the trouble was that no one wanted to be first, then the solution was to make sure no one had to be. So Goldman hired actors. He brought in men and women of different ages and paid them to push his carts up and down the aisles of his store, to fill them with groceries, to shop calmly and happily, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. He placed a greeter near the entrance to hand each customer a cart and explain gently how to use it. And now a real shopper walking in did not see a strange contraption sitting alone. She saw other people, people like her, pushing carts, filling them, untroubled. The embarrassment dissolved. If everyone was doing it, then no one looked foolish. The cart was no longer a risk. It was simply what one did. And once that small wall of pride came down, everything Goldman had predicted came true. Shoppers filled the carts. They bought more because they could. They lingered longer in the aisles because nothing ached. Sales rose, and word of the strange device that made people buy more travelled fast among grocers. Goldman patented his folding cart and founded a company to build them. Orders came in faster than the carts could be welded together. But the cart did not stop at selling more soup. It began, quietly, to reshape the stores themselves. Aisles were widened to let 2 carts pass. Shelves were built taller, stocked deeper, because now shoppers could carry it all. The store grew because the cart let it grow. The small steel basket was setting the size of the room around it. And as stores grew larger, they could stock more and sell more cheaply in greater volume. The supermarket and then the vast warehouse store became possible, built around a shopper who could move an armful she could never have lifted. Sylvan Goldman, the grocer who had simply wanted to sell a little more soup, became a multi-millionaire on a few coins of royalty for every cart in the country. Today, the cart is everywhere. So ordinary we no longer see it. The little seat where a child rides, the word we still use for a basket of goods we buy without ever touching a wheel. The cart, online, waiting to be filled. And all of it began with a man noticing a tired arm, a heavy basket set down too soon. A small thing, a pebble, the pause of a shopper who had simply carried enough. And from it, an avalanche, the whole shape of how the modern world buys and sells and wants.